like to share how they are while we get started? Christian, are we able to see everyone's faces or no?
That's only if they turn on their camera.
Okay, right. I mean, we didn't stop that.
No, they have access to do that today.
Oh, okay. Anithia, yay, I said your name correctly. I'm glad you're doing well. Oh, there's Joe. Oh, wait, what's going on here? There we go. So many ways to do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would anyone like to share? Tell us what's happening. I'm sure everyone misses being out and about, and gosh, I can hardly wait to get back to Soho, right? Crystal, you're on mute. There you go.
I'm excited to see some faces today.
I know, I know.
I miss people.
I know, yeah, exactly. So don't be shy, you know, unless you're like totally in your pajamas still, but just know that this is a safe environment for you to do that. This is probably the only time, right? It will be this way. Hopefully, you know, maybe one more month. There's Christian. So if you gals want to, yeah, let us see you and let's have a conversation just like we would at Soho. We'd be meeting and greeting and we, you know, hugging and shaking hands. Maybe we won't be able to do that for a while, but we'd love to see your faces.
Go. Awesome.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I see Sally trying to pop in.
Oh, Lisa Harding, I see Malors, Miranda. Okay, let's see some of your faces, gals. Jill, how are you? Oh, Sally Putnam. Hey, hey. Oh, I see, Sally, you're on mute. Sally, I see that you got back from, yeah, we'll all be able to read Al's, right, once this is over. So Sally, I see that you've come back from the beach.
Yes, I have. I may go back there again later today.
Okay, I'm slightly jealous.
I would like, actually, one of my friends had a really nice background. It was a really nice house with a nice backyard. And I'm like, where do I find that background?
Yeah, yeah. Was it her home?
It wasn't her home. It was just one of those generic ones. And I'm like, where'd you find that? But
yeah, I love it.
Better than looking at my unupdated kitchen back there.
Yeah, yeah.
And ceiling fans, right?
Exactly.
Yours isn't on, Jill. My fan is on.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. I'm thinking, yeah, it's just early enough, so I'm gonna need that.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this. Hopefully we'll have one more little cooling trend before we really get into it. But this is, I think, kind of a lashback from last year, right? So last year we had like 3 months of tremendous heat. And so I thought, well, that was good. Only 3 months instead of 4, and it's coming early this year. So let's be thankful for what you get. Lisa Harding, how are you? You're on mute, girl. There you are.
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, good.
Good to see everybody.
I know. I know. So yesterday was what? The 108th anniversary? Is that right? Of Chandler Chamber. That was pretty exciting.
Amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah.
And you know, guys, one thing, yes, it was the 108th birthday yesterday for the chamber. And one of the things, I don't know if everybody on this call is aware of this, but the chamber does not qualify for any of those CARE Act funding. And they are struggling financially, obviously, during this time because, you know, they're a membership driven, right? And we didn't have the Ostrich Festival, which was a huge
Right.
revenue source. So if any of you can make a donation, I know they have, I think it's a GoFundMe. Mia, if I'm right there, let us know. But I think it's a GoFundMe. And I just kind of feel like anybody that's gotten anything from the chamber, any business it would be great. Any connections, any value out of the chamber, go and make a donation, even if it's just 20 bucks. 20 bucks can really help. If everybody did that, you know, could really help them out a lot. So I really encourage you all to visit that page. And Mia, is it possible that maybe you could send a link in the chat to where people could do that?
I believe so. Christian, did we do the Facebook? Christian will do it. Okay.
That's right. Thank you, Sally.
Thank you, Sally.
Okay, what time do we have? 11:35. Shall we wait a few more minutes? Hey, Cynthia.
Hi,
There you
Lisa,
are.
everyone.
How are you?
Everyone this time around.
Yes. That was requested so we can see each other until Crystal begins. So yeah, it's good to see each other. You know, it's just as, I don't know, I'm slightly anxious with not seeing people. I do a lot of these Zooms with my personal business, but yeah, it just is a little, I'm missing hugs. I'm missing action.
Yeah,
So it's good to see everyone's smiles.
it is. And my lighting's bad. I thought we weren't going to be seen, so I didn't do my lighting. So
It's
I might-
okay.
I have to test my lighting.
Okay. You're good. We can see you.
You can see me? Okay.
Yeah, we can see you. All good. Lisa, you in the office today?
Yes. I just talked to Marianne. She was checking in to see how the company's doing and everything, and I sent her a picture of us, our fabrication shop, having a big meeting out in the yard. Everybody's standing 6 feet apart, and she's like, "Ooh, good, I'm gonna post this." She wants to put it on her social
Okay.
media, so that'll be good.
Good. Yeah. Be nice when we can all get back to some sort of normalcy-ish, whatever that picture looks like. Okay, what time is it? Shall we go ahead and get started?
Sure.
Okay, yes, it feels so funny to be meeting this way again, the second week in a row, but we are really happy that all of you decided to join us again for Women in Leadership, our virtual reality for the moment. So this is a part 2 series, so we'll get to hear from our Crystal Blackwell in just a moment. But again, thank you so much for joining us. So the Women in Leadership mission statement is to empower and propel women into business success through education, networking, and mentor programming. I'd like to take a moment to thank all of our sponsors, education and mentoring sponsors, Toyota Financial Services and Intel Corporation. Our showcase sponsor is PayPal. Venue sponsor is Soho 63. And if I can get a high five to get to see them again, right? Just always feels so good to be there. And then our supporting sponsor, APS. Also want to give a big shout out and a very big thank you to the Women in Leadership Committee. Without the committee and the support, obviously, from Chandler Chamber gals, McKenna and Mia, this couldn't be put on. Starting with Debbie Isalas, Intel Corporation. She also is the co-chair for this group. Gina LeBenz, Anchor Moments, Dia Kobos with Toyota Financial Services, Bethany Krause with Isogenics, our Crystal Blackwell, who we'll get to hear in just a moment with Crystal Clear Results Live Coaching, Marvin Phillips from First Credit Union, Lisa Scott, PayPal, Lisa Harding, Comfort Systems. Want to say hi, Lisa? Comfort Systems USA Southwest, Lance with Global Wealth Strategies, and I'm Lisa O'Hearn, personal stylist with Cabby Clothing. Now, I would like to introduce our speaker and a dear friend of mine, which I love to say that, Crystal Blackwell, founder and CEO of Crystal Clear Results, LLC. Crystal brings to the table over 20 years of leadership experience from Fortune 100 companies, which include Liberty Mutual and Chase Bank. Crystal is an expert in bringing the best out of the young professional workforce. She works with companies, large and small, to help them maximize productivity, increase retention with all their employees through understanding the differences and similarities amongst them, with 5 generations working in the workplace. And I think that's the first time ever, right, Crystal, that we've ever had 5 generations working in the workplace. Just amazing. Crystal's gift is engaging her clients with tools and practical solutions that gain results. She also enjoys working with corporations and work teams, creating a positive and thriving work community with a special emphasis around retaining your top talent. I just lost my spot. Sorry about that. Crystal is a member of Top Ladies of Distinction, and she is also an active member with Chandler Chamber and sits on the Women in Leadership Committee. So with that, Crystal, I'll turn it over to you. I would recommend, gals and guys, who's ever on, is that while Crystal is speaking, she's going to give us a lot of great information. And if you have any questions, just jot them down and we can get to those at the end. So there will be some question and answer time at the end. So Crystal, my friend, take it away.
Okay, hold on. It's got some issues here. Okay, so this is an interactive discussion about self-talk and about the chatter that's in your mind. So what I like to say is to give everyone just permission to ask questions, to raise your hand. I want some dialogue. I want not only for me to share information that I know that I have uncovered, but I also want you to share information and some of the things that you've uncovered as well. So this is really about us learning and understanding the chatter what's in our mind, which is the self-talk. So we're looking here at some famous people, either philanthropists, politicians, movie stars, different people who practice self-talk management. They've publicly mentioned that there's chatter in their head and they take a concentrated attempt to manage the chatter that's in their mind. So for an example, Oprah, as a small child, you know, she was in a situation where she was handed off from parent to parent. When she was moved to Baltimore as an anchor, she was told that she wasn't pretty enough, that she was fat, that she would never be any type of TV personality. She heard that, and then at that time, she told herself, I'm not going to use that, take that self-talk. And she began to change the chatter that was in her mind. Also, we could look at Tiger Woods, as we know, his up and down, his personal life, how that impacted his professional life, and how he took that chatter of negativity about himself, what others were saying, and was able to turn that around to more positive talk. Then we have The Rock here, who is really does a phenomenal job in terms of taking the negative chatter. He came from a really very, very poor childhood, very tough, aggressive father who really wasn't loving and supporting, and just really leaned on him really tough. And he took all that negative talk that became personal negative talk to himself, and he learned how to change his mindset and manage the chatter that was in his mind. Here's a few others who've mastered it. We look at Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks, he is really about managing his chatter with affirmations. And he especially talked about it with his recent situation with, you know, really getting the virus and becoming, you know, someone who was affected. And he said that the way he managed, him and his wife, was able to manage through being COVID-19 virus recipients, was managing the self-talk, hearing about death, hearing about the unknown. There's no vaccine for it. He managed feeling better about himself, encouraged himself by managing his personal self-talk, saying that he was strong enough, that he could fight it, that he was going to be healthy. Also, a person who manages self-talk, who is very strategic about it, is Jennifer Lopez. I just read an article that she reads 50 words, 50 like phrases and sentences of words of affirmation to manage her self-talk, from just growing up with negativity, or just personal challenges. You know, I'm not good enough, or I'm getting too old, or I'm no one's, people don't value me as they used to. So as we're talking about this, we're struggling with self-talk even now. You could be thinking about some of the people on the screen and, having some conversations in your head about them, or you could be managing your own self-talk, saying things like, maybe this webinar is going to take longer than I expected. I'm really looking forward to getting some tools. I need to manage the conversations in my head. All of these are examples of self-talk. Here's a few other folks that are known for just managing self-talk. Ellen DeGeneres she just really has been an open book about her struggle with how she felt about herself, and the things that she heard and that she began to believe until she took control of her own self-talk and began to walk that out. And we see that in just her show and how she shows up in a loving, caring spirit. And of course, Mother Teresa, getting her self-talk, telling her, even though she vowed for poverty and she really was reaching out for the disenfranchised, still telling herself that she was enough and she had enough resources to find her purpose and live out her purpose. But I really want to pause here and talk about a couple of folks who really have managed their self-talk and the chatter in their brain in very dark places or just unusual places. And here we have the late John McCain, who was very clear about when he was a prisoner of war, he was able to really gain the strength to deal with those 5 years of really just in a death camp, and staying positive and hopeful with just managing his self-talk. He could have easily said, I'm gonna die, no one's gonna care about me, my country threw me away, I'm a nobody, my family doesn't care. Instead of, he told himself the complete opposite. I am valuable. I am a powerful soldier. I will heal. I will prevail. My country does love me. He managed the way he felt and the way he viewed his situation by managing the chatter in his brain, chatter in his head with positive self-talk. And lastly, different space, Muhammad Ali. He managed his self-talk to a place to where we even speak of him in this space. He didn't think he was the greatest person of all. He didn't think he was the greatest of all. He told himself that because he actually thought he wasn't the greatest. So initially he felt like a failure. He felt like a loser. His family did not support his lifestyle, didn't support his decision to box. He was coming up in an era where there's a lot of pushback, a lot of strife. And he told himself, I'm the greatest, to just manage the chatter in his head because he was hearing the negative. And he was just brilliant with it to the point where he is known as the greatest champion on earth. So that's an example of how you can manage your self-talk to a place where others will help you manage it for you. And I think Muhammad Ali mastered that. So I think I'd heard that on his gravestone, it has that he's the greatest of them all. I think that's pretty powerful of how you take a negative space and you turn it around and you make it positive where others believe and buy into it as well. I really love this quote. I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. And I think this fits for all of us. I don't know about you, but sometimes, and training could mean different things to different people. Training could be prepping for a webinar. Training could be, right? Training could be actually working out. It could be getting prepared to go and launch a business. Whatever your training is, most people really struggle with it. It's tough. You're grinding. But you have to tell yourself, I'm not going to quit. That's self-talk. He said, and suffer now, deal with it now, and live the rest of your life as a champion. So let's pause here, and I'll ask if anyone feels led. I want to hear some dialogue at this point. Who can relate to? And I'll go back to who can relate to, you know, being in a space where you're having negative talk, you're having negative self-talk, and you're making a conscious decision to say something positive, and you may even go as far as saying it out loud. Does anyone feel comfortable sharing any situation where they've said, you know, my mind was saying, I'm not going to pass this test, but I said out loud, I am going to pass this test, and I did? Any examples? Perfect. I think we have Lisa who raised her hand. We can unmute Lisa.
There we go. Hey guys, so I think that, thank you. Those are great words, Crystal. I think that at one level or another, we can all somewhat say that right now, right? Our current state. It's not, we started the beginning of the year thinking, okay, this is going to be my best year. Here's my goals. I'm going to get after it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. For me personally, I started out of the gates with my season and oh my gosh, best ever. Best ever. And my trajectory for the rest of my season was, whoa, pat myself on the back, high-fiving myself, this is fantastic. And lo and behold, we have something that's put upon us that is not our fault. We had nothing to do with it, but it forces us to take a pause and to pivot. So for me, I sat at home, well, I traveled a good bit in February, got home, and I intentionally was going to take a week off, which I did. And by the time my week was over, we were now kind of grounded. I felt like a school kid. Now I'm grounded. Now what? And my business is face-to-face with groups of people. So I had to think super quick. Well, I could give up and just go, okay, let me go do something else for a while, or let me just take a little vacation until how long this ends. But I thought, I'm not going to do that. So I thought, okay, I'm going to get up. I'm going to not quit. I'm going to pivot. I washed my whiteboard and said, taking all my goals down, pivot, this is what now I think I can do. And I'm going to stretch it. So for me, just doing that, now I don't call myself a champion, but I do say to myself, good job, because you can do things one of two ways. You can go, oh my gosh, worst thing ever, or you can pivot and say, I'm going to complete this, or I'm just going to pivot and do it different.
Good. Thank you. That's excellent, Lisa. I am going to call you a champion, and I'll tell you why. Because you manage your self-talk. You could have easily said, you know what, my fashion season's over. I'm not going to make any money. No one's going to want to buy anything. And you could have easily just sort of closed the books on your fashion season this year, and you didn't.
Right.
So that to me is championship movement. And we have to know that, and we have to accept it and honor it and celebrate it. So good for you.
Oh, thank you.
So let's go to our agenda. We're going to talk about understanding self-talk, and we're going to have a dialogue. So I want to encourage anyone who wants to share, and hope they feel like this is a safe place. Then we're going to talk about changing behaviors, because really this is about you changing behaviors, being strategic and taking steps to change the behavior, because it doesn't happen just instantly. You have to be aware of it. Then we're going to do some practicing. So I'm hoping I can get some volunteers who want to practice some of the different tools and way to change behaviors. Final thoughts, and then Q&A. And you know what? Q&A is okay throughout this entire presentation. So if you have a thought, an idea, and I want you to share it, just either put it in the chat, or you can wave your hand and we'll grab you and we'll allow you the opportunity to share with the group. Okay, let's talk about the chatter in your mind. What is a chatter going on in your mind right now? So I want people to pause and think about what is this conversation that's going on in your mind right now? Are you concerned about your business, the workplace, safety? Are you a parent concerned about, okay, now I'm a teacher and I'm a mom, and or maybe, you know, I'm supporting my family differently. Maybe the chatter is, you know what, this is actually pretty nice for me. I'm able to spend more time with my family. I know for me, initially, the chatter for me was, and I've shared this before, my son went off to college in January. So my husband and I had 6 weeks of empty nesting. So the chatter in my mind was, oh man, he's coming back. What? You're coming back? And the chatter in his mind was, I don't want to come back. So, you know, we both were saying the same thing. But that was the dialogue. You know, the chatter was, I really enjoyed the time that we had. And now the chatter in my mind was, so how do I maintain that? Because now he's back in the space. So ask yourself, what's the chatter going on in your mind at this particular time? Does anyone want to share maybe something that's a chatter going on in their mind now? So self-talk, understanding self-talk. So let's just take a minute and think about what you have said about yourself today. What have you said about yourself today? Did it make you feel good? Did it make you feel powerful? Did it make you feel less than? Did it make you feel anxious? Was it critical? Was it something that you're having a conversation in your mind, your self-talk, and you want to explore it further? What are some of the things that you're saying? Your thoughts are a source on how you feel. So oftentimes, if we don't feel powerful or we feel powerful, it begins in the conversation that's going on in our heads. So how do we get started managing this self-talk, this conversation that's going on in our heads? And I'm going to give you a couple of tips. Super easy. You can take notes, take a picture of the screen, whatever works for you. But these are easy, practical tools that I use myself. I coach to the people that I coach. I share to ages, you know, across the gamut, CEOs, and my son, who's a college student. Very practical. But the first thing you want to do is listen and learn. Listen and learn. That's tip number 1. Spend some time listening to your thoughts. Now, I think this is a very tough step for most of us. My hand is up. I'm busy girl. I love doing stuff. But to slow down enough to listen to your thoughts takes time. And that could show up in the form of meditation. If you prayer, maybe prayer time, quiet time, walking. Some people like to walk and they're in their head at that moment, they're listening to their thoughts. This is a time I really want people to share with us. What are some things that you do? Let's share out with each other. What are some of the things that you do to spend time listening to your thoughts? Who'd like to share?
I'll say something. I always try to remind myself that things take time, and when something seems like it's not going right.
Mm-hmm. Good. Any others? I like that, Mia. Things take time.
My mom actually says, her name's Rini Scabona. She actually says yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yoga. Yeah, definitely.
Hey, Crystal, this is Debbie.
Hi, Debbie.
Hi, I also do yoga. That it tends to help, and I try to after I do yoga, I just spend a few minutes meditating after that, just laying there and meditating and going through my thoughts. And that's the time I use to go through my thoughts.
Yeah,
So
good.
that works.
So it's great. And I know you, and you have a very calm spirit, and which is really, it really comes out. So I could see where you can settle into yoga and really tap into your thoughts. Any others who want to share? What are some ways, or how do you spend time listening to your thoughts? And I'm really pressing this only because I want people to hear the different ways, just in case you haven't placed any type of line item for yourself or any time listening to your thoughts. We're sharing ideas and sharing best practices so that you can find a way where you can spend time listening to your thoughts. Any others?
Kathleen Bannister says walking and yoga.
Julie says, I remind myself that this too shall pass.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. That's excellent. This too shall pass. I think I said that. I had my little mini meltdown last week, and that was what pulled me out of, is saying that this too shall pass. Thank you guys. Thanks for sharing. Any other sharing before we go on? I want folks to be able to walk away with other ways to spend time listening to your thoughts. This is crucial to managing that self-talk.
Rosa says, working out, this is temporary. When I have a negative thought, like I am so fat, I try to counter it with, what are you going to do about it?
Love
myself to check if this is really true, if it's a negative thought.
That's excellent. That's a behavior change. That's an actual strategy. That's very good. I love that. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that one.
I have a something I learned a couple of years ago, that they said the difference between an affirmation and an affirmation. And the affirmation, right, is, oh, I'm the greatest, right? Muhammad Ali, I'm the greatest. And I don't know about you guys, but if I say that, it's like, oh, I'm the greatest. And then the little voices start to go, no, you're not, whatever. So the thing is to turn the negative into a question. So it's like, why am I the greatest? And it's funny because when you pose a question to your brain, it doesn't judge the question, it's truth. When you're like, if you like, why am I the greatest? All of a sudden I'm trying to find the answer to why I'm the greatest, not judging, am I great or am I not great?
Sally, that is a great tip. And you guys write that down. I'm writing that tip down. That's a new one. Turn it around and make it a question. Why am I the greatest? And then at that point, you're going to be saying things like, because I'm smart, I prepared for this, so I'm prepped, I feel good about my material. You start to answer that question with all this positive things that supports that you're the greatest, and I'm sure you begin to feel that you're great. So very good, very good. Thank you for sharing that, Sally. Any others before we go on to the next one?
Nicole says that I meditate and listen to what I'm telling myself and then tell myself the opposite until I feel better.
Good. Look at that. We have people out there managing self-talk. They hear it and then they tell and then they turn it around. And again, it takes a concentrated effort for you to do that. It just doesn't happen organically. You have to be purposeful in changing and managing that chatter.
Christina says she focuses on all the things she has to be grateful for.
Yes, gratitude. Absolutely. I know gratitude journals are really popular. I have clients who use them every day. That's what they do, is gratitude journals. It's an excellent way of spending time listening to your thoughts and managing that chatter. Secondly, we're going to go on, is writing down important or frequent negative thoughts. The reason why that's important is because you want to be able to see, what are those trends? What am I saying about myself over and over and over again? Am I saying things like, I'm not good enough? So if I'm going to say, I'm going to take a week, and I'm going to write down important or frequent negative thoughts, and then take a look at that and really, be diligent and be honest, and maybe even highlight the most frequent thoughts or negative thoughts that you have about yourself. Because really, that's how you're feeling about yourself. And I tell you, this exercise is really eye-opening. Something about writing something down it really brings to light. No different than when you're on a diet and they tell you to write down all of everything you eat, and then you realize that one little pinch of, you know, cookie or two little spoonfuls of ice cream, how all of that adds up and it becomes part of your weight gain. Same thing with this. All these words line up, become how you feel about yourself. It becomes a negative chatter. It becomes your thoughts. Of course, what you think is how you feel. So write down important negative, frequent negative thoughts. Number 2 is think it through and ask yourself questions. Think it through and ask yourself questions. So think it through, ask yourself questions. The first one is, am I overreacting? Because sometimes we do. Am I being dramatic? Am I being drama? Am I making this a bigger deal than what it is? If I'm saying things like, I'm not smart, and you run an organization, or you're a leader on a committee, or how about this? You manage a household. Am I overreacting? Is it really that big of a deal? Ask yourself, is this really a big of a deal? That these people over here don't like me? Is it really that big of a deal? You're not going to be liked by everyone. Is it really going to be something that's going to make me feel bad about myself? Is this something that's important in the long run? Is this going to serve me later or just in the moment? Something that I'm dealing with in the moment. So basically, you want to pause and go, okay, now, what's going on here? What's happening to me? Why am I thinking this way? Challenge that chatter that's in your brain. Also, am I overgeneralizing? Am I coming to a conclusion based on opinion, or is it fact? Tip 2 really is about thinking it through and asking yourself those questions. I really like that guy because he's like super serious, asking himself questions. But it is a really serious part of the tips because you want to make sure that you're clear. Where's this coming from? And oftentimes you could stop the chatter in this space. If you've already asked those questions, am I overgeneralizing? Does this really matter? Is this really truth? What they're saying is truth. Going back to what Sally was saying, change that question around. If you're feeling like you're not good enough, turn it around. I am good enough. And telling yourself what that actually is. I am a good parent. I am, you know, I do have creative ideas. But ask those tough questions. We can stop here. Is anyone who in their thought, and you may do this naturally and not even realize that when you get a negative thought, you right away pause in your head and ask yourself questions like, why am I thinking this way? Does this matter? Do you have anyone who'd like to share, either chat or either you want to wave your hand and you can speak to the group?
This is Nicole. I can share. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I actually have an example yesterday from my teenage son. There was a situation where I found out something in the morning and I'm like, nope, I'm not going to say anything until this afternoon. I'm going to finish working so I can, be calm and clear and collected while I'm working. However, what my brain did throughout the entire day is I came up with probably 100 different assumptions rather than just taking a moment to ask the question and understand the situation. I would have saved myself so much grief and, worry and sadness and just because I made up so many stories of what happened and I could have avoided it all. And so I think overgeneralizing is good. And then also just, remembering not to assume, if I would have just asked the question, it would have saved me that heartache. And so it's always a good reminder to set our assumptions aside and just be open and have that conversation with whoever we may need to.
Nicole, thank you for feeling comfortable to be transparent and share that, because I've done exactly that myself, where I just assumed something based on maybe a conversation or even something I saw or I thought I saw, and just spiraled out of control, assuming, like you said, you were unnecessary anxiousness and upset, all of this stress that we put on our bodies. And then, like you said, all you need to do was just have that conversation. And the fact that you're able to look back at that today, what happened yesterday, is huge, because you're identifying that chatter behavior. So when this rises up again for you, Nicole, you'll be able to manage that, because now you see it. And you know, when we think about it, no one likes to spend time worrying when we really have other things to do more productive. We all do it. We all do it. So thank you for sharing. And any other examples?
Christina says, I revisit the prayer of serenity as much as I need to get answers.
Yes. Amen. I get it. Yes, definitely. My mom has it like posted in her house, you know, framed up. So definitely. Any others? Good example, Nicole. Thank you for sharing that. It happened yesterday, real life stuff.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Tip 3, switch gears. Here's the work, you guys. This is where the work comes in. This is where you're going through this chatter and you are right now going to switch gears in your head. And this is a part that's going to take a little bit from us, but this is where we're switching gears, and we're switching gears all the time. So you never become like a gear master. You never, master this. This is something you're always going after and you're always getting better. Let's talk about switching gears. So when you're journaling, and we talked about the journaling part, and I had mentioned, make a list of all the things that's in your journal that aren't kind words to yourself. Look back at those thoughts on your list in your journal and reword them in a kinder, more positive light. So you got a little homework there, not much. So after you spend your week or your day or your couple days, whatever works for you, write out in your journal all the negative thoughts or frequent thoughts that don't make you feel good. Go back and look at the trends, then reword them and really have fun with it, with the more positive light. So an example of that could be, maybe you wrote on there, I'm not good enough. Then now your more positive light is that I am enough. I am enough. I'm more than enough. That's the way you want to look at that. And you want to be, make it an exercise that's purposeful. Sit with it. Each word, read it. I even say go as far as saying it out loud. And once you hear, I'm not good enough, like something in your spirit is going to like quiver. You're going to go, oh my, that's not me. But then when you word it and say, I am enough, it just brings you light. You will lighten up. You will feel a lift in yourself, because you know that negative frequent word is only going to pull on you. It's only weight for yourself. So here's an example of someone who's switching gears. And this is an example of him feeling really bad about himself. And he's a guy, he's, climbing up the corporate ladder. He has a lot of pressure. He has goals. He's on a sales team. He was a go-getter. He says to himself, what an idiot. I really screwed up. I forgot to call my client back, and now I missed the sales opportunity. Okay, and all of this is happening like milliseconds. Who can relate to that? Like, right when something happens, right away, you just go right to that negative space to yourself. Why did I do that? Darn. And you really sort of beat yourself up in that moment. So here's an example where it switched. Even though that's what initially was thought, instead of going to the negative space, the positive switching gears is, I can do better than that. Of course, I have the tools, the talent. I know I can. I'll make sure I schedule more time in my day to follow up with my clients. and keep it moving. You can't do anything about what happened in the past. You learn from it. You self-encourage. You remind yourself what you need to do. I'm not saying, just say that it's okay to do it, but hey, I should schedule more time in my day so I can follow up with my clients. Then you move on. So practice makes permanent. I know we grew up thinking practice makes perfect, and in some cases, yeah, but I really love practice makes permanent. So the more you practice switching gears, the more you practice, positive self-talk, the more you're aware, sort of what Nicole said when she reflected back to yesterday, she was clearly able to see, I spent most of my day with this negative chatter, and I could have nipped that in the bud and just simply asked the question, and we could have had that conversation. Practice makes permanent. So let's practice. So I need a volunteer who wants to practice this scenario here and tell us something good. Tell us something good. So do we have any volunteers? And you know what? There's no wrong way to do this. The fact that you want to practice means you really want to make this permanent for yourself. So you're going to reword this into a positive way. So this person saying, this COVID-19 has me feeling helpless. I miss not being able to connect with my family and friends. I want my life back. This is an actual quote that I got from a leader who I work with. It's exactly was the text that was received. Who wants to give it a go?
Oh. Shanti is saying she will.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. I think we're going to unmute her so that she can give this a try.
Mm-hmm.
Shantia?
Shanti, have you unmuted yourself?
Well, it looks like she's.
Oh, on dial-in. Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's got a call in. It looks like she's on her cell phone.
Okay. Does anyone want to give it a try until she can also practice? And when people want to practice, I want to give them the chance to do so. Any others?
I can try, Crystal.
Awesome. Great.
Okay. So I'm going to try to turn this around into positive. So this COVID-19 has me feeling grateful. While I miss my friends, I feel like I have been connecting more with them through Zoom or on the phone, and I feel like I want to make that connection stronger during this time. I feel like I feel like I've taken life for granted before, and I'm starting to realize how much my family and friends really do mean to me, and I'm making a conscious effort to connect with them during this time.
Excellent. Very nice. Thank you for trying. I appreciate it. I love that. I love that. Any others who want to try? Let's lift this girl up on the picture. She looks pretty down.
Yeah. So Shanti says, she's typed in, she says, I'm on dial-in. So she says, this is a season of my life where I get to rest and deeper engage with my immediate family. That's awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. If nothing else, our normal, we're all experiencing something in this space. We're all saying things like social distancing. I'd never said that before until the last maybe 8 weeks, if that. We're all wearing masks and gloves and talking about safety. And, the tagline now is, be safe, be healthy, be connected. I mean, we're saying things and we're behaving differently. But this is real. Some people really are feeling not as powerful and are feeling down because of it. And a lot of it is really that self-talk. It's really that self-talk in their heads. Anyone else want to volunteer? And you can make this your own, as the previous ladies did. They made this their own. We'll go to the next one. I'm thinking that's how Debbie felt and Shanti. This is how they're feeling about it. So I wanted to show this is in the flip of it. You know, first you're feeling, you know, she was feeling like, oh my, look at me, you know. But once you turn that around, when you think better, you feel better. It is connected. You cannot trick it. You can try to fake it, but it will show. It will show. We've all tried that. Our minds may be saying one thing and we're like, well, I'm not going to show it up on my face. And boy, it comes out. I was told once when I was in leadership, my manager told me, Crystal, you don't have a poker face. And I tried so hard. She always knew how I was feeling. I would try to have a poker face, but I don't. So I know how I'm connected in terms of what I'm saying to myself and how I show up. And that awareness is pretty powerful. All right, another try. Let's practice number 2. This guy, poor guy, he's in a bottle. He's in a little jar there. How ridiculous. I can't teach myself how to think more positive. This was from someone that I coached as well, who's struggling with really thinking more positive. You know, it's just not how they're made up. Some people are very half full naturally. The sky is purple and, you know, there's unicorns and candy and rainbows. And then there's others who are just more skeptic, who just look at everything and find the opportunity, and that's their lane and they're tight in it. And they have to work harder. So they tend to feel this way, like, oh, it's just not me. You know, I see it for what it is. And they struggle, and they tend to have way more chatter in their space than a lot of other folks. They're kind of overwhelmed, which can get them in a place where they're in a box or in a jar or just sort of feeling alone, especially during a crisis like now. This could really put them in that space. Who wants to practice turning this around so we can get this guy out this jar? Any volunteers?
Amanda says, through practice and perception, I will learn to think in an optimistic manner.
Good. Through practice. I love that was the first one. You got to work at it. First, identify that, you know, that's who you are. And that's not a bad thing because we all are who we are. You know, the brilliance of it is that identifying it and saying, I have to practice.
Sally says, why do I feel so good?
Ah, love it. Why do I feel so good? I just felt like moving when I said that.
Shanti says, my thought, I start by telling myself anything worth having is worth working for.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then Reed says, maybe I can just think different thoughts as a first step to thinking more positive thoughts.
Perfect. Love it. All those are excellent. All those are excellent. Because we want this guy to feel like this girl. Mm-hmm. And he looks relaxed and like she looks like she is positive and confident. You know, she's not, you know, looking out like, hey, I'm better, I'm on top of the world, she looks confident in herself. I can't imagine a negative thought or negative chatter in her space at all at this point. And we've all been here. We've all been this person. And we've all seen people this way. That you know they are managing that chatter. Any thoughts? I want to pause here. Any comments and chat that people are responding and just so we can have the dialogue?
Nicole says, I may not feel positive right now, but as I continue to meditate on positive thoughts and what is true, my feelings will eventually align. Oh my gosh, I love that.
Perfect. I'm so glad you made that point, because it's not an instant snap finger. Every now and again, you may get that blessing, great. But for the most part, it takes practice to make it a permanent feeling. I'm really glad you made that point. Thank you so much, Nicole. You have to work at it. You have to care about the way you think, your chatter, enough to know that. So when you don't feel good, continue to do the work and it will catch up. It will catch up.
Cynthia says, how do you manage the chatter when you are fighting an illness?
Excellent. If you're fighting an illness and you know there's a potential end and you're doing all that you need to do, if your doctor is giving you parameters and you're following it, you manage it by saying, I'm doing everything so that I can heal. I will heal. These are the things that I am doing. And if you have to write those down and every day say those out loud to yourself, then do that. And also, for the person who was saying that one, also get yourself around people that's going to encourage that as well. Get yourself a chatter buddy, someone that you can call up and say, I've got these negative thoughts. I'm feeling this particular type of way. I'm feeling like I'm not going to get better. And that chatter buddy should be, hey, you know what? You're doing great. And then you can respond, yes, I am doing great. But you also can manage that chatter in your mind as well. Good question. I hope that helped.
She said, thank you. I will do that because this is a chronic condition.
Yes. Thank you for asking the question. Does anyone else have any suggestions? I mean, we have a huge group of women and I never present myself knowing it all, but is there anyone else out there that can really just provide some tips who may understand, struggling with a chronic illness and what you're doing to manage your self-talk? I'd like to ask that of anyone to share out. Do we have anyone?
No, Michelle.
Somebody says,
Michelle?
great presentation. Crystal,
Hi
thank
there.
you.
Can you all hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear
Great.
you.
Just to share something that I do and I've taught my kids is say to myself or ask them to say to themselves what we would say to a friend. We're often harder on ourselves than we are to our friends. So if we're saying to ourselves that we can't do something or we're feeling bad or negative about something, what would we tell a friend? And then tell ourselves that, be our own best friend sometimes. So that's just a tip that I like to share is what would we tell someone else that we cared about and loved in the same way.
Michelle, what I love, I'm going to steal it, girl. Be your own best friend. I love that. Love it. That's great advice. And what would you tell a friend? Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Shanti says, I have an accountability partner. We talk to each other to help the negative self-talk.
Look at that, forward thinker. Love that. You guys, we have people in our circles that we can have to be accountability partners, chatter buddies, whatever you want them. But there's folks who love and care about you, who want to support you. Reach out, ask people. You'd be surprised. And also, I want to mention, don't look at the age of the individuals, your accountability buddy, or their background or anything like that. It really is about how they show up. How do they show up? Any others before we talk about what not to say? So there's a ton of what not to says. These are just some. I'm sure we all have them. Nothing ever goes right. Never ever want to say that. I'm no good. I'm not any good. Why should I try? I I can never get caught up. This is one that we say a lot, and I'm really trying to figure out, it's when people say, I'm busy. They just say it all the time. I'm so busy. I would pause and say, so what's busy? What does busy look like for you? And really, instead of saying I'm busy, be specific about what is in your way. But being busy, it just says it takes up your whole space. Like you don't even have space to think. So challenge yourself not to be, I'm busy all the time. I'm tired. Even though you may feel it, but once you say I'm tired and you own those words, you are done. You're tired. Even though you may feel it, but something about I'm tired, the word tired just sucks the life out of you. Not that you're not, because you may be. So you may need to say, instead of saying I'm tired, is, my body needs to rest. I need to honor that and get some rest. It's different than I'm tired. It's like caving in. Yes.
It's Sally. One of the things that I really made if I could say a resolution this year was to not say I'm busy, because saying I'm busy, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And and the words that we say are self-fulfilling prophecies. So if that's what I want to be, if I want to be busy, then I'm going to say I'm so busy. If I want to be tired, I'm going to say I'm so tired. If I'm healthy, I'm going to say I'm so healthy. I'm so productive. It's just a matter of saying those things, even though we go, like they say, you go where your eyes go, right? When you're riding a bike, wherever your eyes go is where your bike is going to go. And where our life is going to go is wherever our words go.
Love it. Love it. Excellent. Yes. She just eliminated busy out. And that was interesting. That's something that I really focus on. When I hear the word busy come out right away, it becomes that chatter. I try to turn it around. But that one for me doesn't show up in a positive way at all. Excellent. Excellent examples. Okay. So these are some things you can say. I am making progress. I can handle this. I'm enough. I'm great. Sometimes people say, how are you doing? I'm good. I'm great. Big difference. Again, to Sally's point, prophesying to yourself on really where you're at. Sometimes you got to say it before you get there. I'm excellent at. If you're an expert in something, strut your stuff. I'm excellent in organizing, if that's what you do. I'm an excellent connector. I'm an excellent mother. Whatever it is, these are things you can say to yourself about yourself to really kill that negative chatter. I have a fantastic family. I have a fantastic group of friends. I have a friend who says wonderful a lot. And when she says, oh, that's wonderful, I so believe her. Like, I believe her to the point that I'm going to be part of it. If I ask her, how was your day? Oh, it's a wonderful day. Well, I want to know why it was so wonderful instead of it's a good day. And her day could really just be an average solid day, but she says wonderful. And I want to be part of that. So again, the things to say. What are some of the things to say? Who has any things they want to share that they say all the time that really helps manage the chatter in your brain?
Someone says, I am doing enough.
Right.
Then somebody else says, a good way to start your day is to find 3 things you are thankful for.
Another good tip. I love that one. I'm going to take that one too. Just find 3 things. If you started your day with that, you're already in that positive lane. You're already managing the self-talk. Very good. Love that one. Any others? So I absolutely love this quote. And you know what's interesting? Because you guys are a super smart group of women, and I know we have men there too, don't want to forget that. But we're already in this phase. Be careful how you are talking to yourself, because you are listening. Now, if I wrote this, I'm going to tell you what I would do differently, because you are listening, that you would be in bold, capital letters, screaming at you, probably a different color, because you are listening to the words, what you're saying about yourself. You're that important. So be very careful of the things that you're saying. And it can be little chatters, because it starts in the head and it comes out the mouth, you know? So you want to really be conscious and be mindful of the chatter that's going on in your mind. Any questions? Has anyone seen this quote before?
We have a question. How to stop reliving an emotional distress from the past on your low, bad days?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the beginning. How do we say that again, please?
How to stop reliving an emotional distress from the past of your low or bad days on your low.
Yeah, you know what, that one, and you don't have to share anything. I know it's I'm sure it's something that's close to your heart. I would say if I'm reliving, and I'm gonna talk to you, I'm talking to you as if I would talk to a client or even to a family member. If I'm reliving something often, then I really would want to go and really figure out what that is with a professional, to figure out what it is. Because I think it could be something that's reoccurring, that real strategic tools can really break that up for you, especially if you're reliving it. And if it's traumatizing. I would recommend really focusing on that space to really break that. Because I don't know if managing the chatter is really going to be enough depth for something that's reoccurring that was traumatizing for you. And again, everything's about being better and being well. And I want all of us to be well. And I think really digging into that space will help you get there. So I hope I was able to give you some peace in that space. Anything else? Any questions, comments?
Julie says, yes, I always wake up and acknowledge all my blessings.
I hear you. And there's plenty of things for us to be grateful for. Plenty. And we all have what we're grateful for, but definitely. And that's a great way to end. It's just being grateful and every day and acknowledging that. I'm grateful to be able to present this to you all. I hope it was helpful.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I have I gave to Mia, who's in the chamber, some information to send to you guys. It's really a cheat sheet on how to manage your emotions, how to manage your mindset, the physical part. It's about just really improving your self-awareness. It's for you. It's a gift for me. I use it. I share it out often. I get a lot of good feedback, and I wanted to share it with you all. I think he's going to email that out to everyone. If you have any other questions? Great. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Okay, so Crystal, oh my gosh, I don't know about anyone else, but I took pages of notes, just some really fabulous nuggets wherever anyone is on their journey. My gosh, just so many great nuggets, and thank you so much. And thank you for everyone that joined us today, not only coming and seeing everyone virtually, but also investing the time in yourself. And for those that felt safe and vulnerable, a little vulnerable to share and to get something else personally out of it, thank you for sharing also. So thank you, and a big high five to Crystal. I wish I could give you a hug. That was excellent. You look gorgeous and you're yellow. So thank you too. I miss you, girl. So all good. And so thank you also to the Women in Leadership Committee who puts this on every single month. After this webinar, Mia will be sending out an email to all of you with a survey, a feedback questionnaire. So please take the time to fill that out. In our Women in Leadership meetings, we go through every single comment, and we really strive to give you what you're looking for. So please take the time and do that. I will say also that the Chandler Chamber is an award-winning active chamber. So if you'd like any sort of information about what's happening now, I know for myself, and I know many of you know that the Chamber is doing a lot of their programs virtually. The Wake Up, Chandler, Business After Business, the Leads Group, so on and so forth. So if you're sitting at home and you're thinking, okay, how can I get involved? Gosh, now is the time to do it. So if you have any questions on any of that, feel free to reach out to any of the committee members, or we've got Mia and McKenna here that are chamber staff members. And big, huge thank you to these two ladies too. So thank you so much for doing all that you do. So our next month's Women in Leadership will showcase our, Women of Chandler. So for 2020, that's always great. I'm not quite sure at the moment how we're going to do that. It might be virtually again. It might be at Soho. We just don't know. So thank you for staying with us. Thanks for making the pivot on doing all life virtually right now. Stay safe, right? Stay safe. And I, for one, can hardly wait to see all of you in person. So big virtual hug to you and take care. Thank you.